What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to another episode here with Franchise Sports Media for UFC 274 preview show. I'm Kalani Lua. This is Griff and Kemp. Griff, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
Man, another beautiful day in paradise and another terrific fight card we got coming up. UFC 274 headlined by Charles Oliveira, the UFC lightweight champion, taking on Justin Gaethje. This should be interesting. Griff, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
It's a long time coming. You know, Justin Gaethje, after that bout with Khabib, Khabib's famously his last fight in the UFC, didn't go the way he wanted his first shot at the title, but now he's getting his second chance, and I'm excited for it.
Justin Gaethje is, like you said, when he took on Khabib, that was his chance at the title. Khabib, one of the greatest of all time, was able to go ahead and dominate that one and get a victory. Gaethje comes back, defeats Michael Chandler in a terrific fight of the year now candidate, and then now he's getting another crack at it, clearly because that division has just been wiped out. We don't have your boy Conor McGregor. Tony Ferguson has been struggling. We'll get to him just momentarily, and a couple other fighters. Now you look at Justin Gaethje, and now he's challenging Charles Oliveira. Gaethje, a come-forward style fighter. Now he's a guy kind of like Chuck Liddell. He has a terrific wrestling background, but he prefers to stand and bang with you, throw some vicious leg kicks, throw the punches, and he's one of those guys. I'll take a punch to give a punch. Do you think that style will benefit him this second go around for his title bout against one of the best grapplers of all time?
I think it will. He will do better against Oliveira with that style than he did with Khabib. But the problem is, you have to see this. You look at this fight and you think to yourself, Justin Gaethje, he's just a mauler. He's coming at you with a variety of punches and kicks. And you have to think that it's going to be better this time around against Oliveira, though Oliveira himself is a grappler, and he's starting to really make a name for himself as possibly one of the better grapplers the 155 division seen.
Possibly making a name for himself? This man holds the UFC record for most submissions with 13. He has 20 in his career. I think it's pretty well said. He is the best grappler, but here's the thing. In his last few fights, what have we noticed? He's become, one, a better wrestler, but he's also become a better striker. Ask Michael Chandler about that. Oliveira, 10 straight wins, 11-1 in his last 12. This is a man who has moved up and down between 155 and 145, but he has shown his evolution as a fighter. His cardio, we know, is second to none when it comes to fights. We know when you get on the ground, you're in for some trouble. With his striking improving, I'm very curious to see what style he chooses to implement. We saw against Khabib, if you apply pressure to Gaethje and you get him on the ground, now he's in deep water. But if you allow Gaethje to keep coming for you, and we've seen this several times amongst fighters, when Gaethje applies that pressure and he's constantly coming in your face, kind of like the Terminator, no matter what you do, he keeps coming and coming. We see the will of so many fighters going through. This is going to be a terrific matchup. A little too early right now for predictions, but do you think Oliveira will be wise to get this to the ground, or see how he does in the stand-up department and surprise him?
I wouldn't be surprised if Oliveira tried to take it to the ground and become more of a grappling match. But, coming up through Oliveira's time as champion, I don't think there's been a bigger hater than me of Oliveira. I'm always doubting him ever since he did win it over his win with Chandler. But after his last fight with Dustin Poirier, I'm a believer. I think Oliveira is not only just a true champion, but I think he's actually starting to become, at the end of his career, I think he's going to be known as one of the best champions 155's ever seen.
He's certainly carving out that legacy. I became a fan of his, ironically, the UFC game. I like to try different fighters. I saw his grappling was really high. I kind of was familiar with him, but he only had I think 2, maybe 3 fights at the time. I played with him. I said, dude, this guy's tremendous on the ground. Following his career there, it's been a tremendous rise. I've loved seeing him every step of the way. And like I said, with his improvements in the stand-up department, he's become that much more dynamic of a fighter. Very tough to go against. Griff, Gaethje, Oliveira. What do you got?
I got to go Gaethje. I think Gaethje's not going to get a second title chance and not finish this this time around. I think he's worked this for a while, and I think Gaethje's just going to come at him with something he's just not going to be able to handle.
Very understandable. One thing we've noticed with fighters, and we'll get to one of them later in the card, some fighters, when the lights are brighter, stage a little bit bigger, more eyes on you, game plan just isn't working that day. You're just not able to execute. And it was one time, but we saw against Khabib, he kind of looked like the stage might have been too big for him. Granted, you're taking on one of the best of all time. This man wrestled bears, for Christ's sake. But seriously, we've seen Oliveira. He gets bigger, and better when the stage is brighter. We've seen against Poirier. We've seen against Chandler. We've seen against others where he was the main event. I like Charles Oliveira to retain his title in this one. Yes, going against the American here in Gaethje, but I do think Oliveira just has too many weapons in his toolbox for Gaethje to overcome. Either way, it is going to be a fantastic main event for the lightweight title. That's not all we got on this one. We got another title fight in the women's strawweight division, a rematch. Carla Esparza, the first women's strawweight champion, taking on the woman she beat initially for the title, Rose Namajunas, aka Thug Rose. What do you think about this women's matchup here in the co-main event?
I'm so excited for it. Ever since her fight with Zhang Weili, I'm the biggest fan of Thug Rose. You know, coming out of Trevor Whitman's camp, you know, and Trevor Whitman is becoming fastly one of the greatest coaches in the UFC with fighters like Kamaru Usman and Justin Gaethje in his camps. I think Thug Rose, you know, the first woman to regain her belt after losing it. I hope to see Thug Rose have a long tenure as champion, and I'm excited to see her get back in the octagon.
Storylines do make fights, and styles make fights as well. This is a unique one. Carla Esparza, again, the first women's champion in the division. She defeated Rose Namajunas, coming off the Ultimate Fighter. Rose has said at the time she underestimated Esparza. She didn't think that she was worthy of being in the ring with her. She thought she was better. Clearly, that wasn't the case. Esparza being on a 5-fight winning streak, getting back into it, she's trying to do what Rose did, regain her title. Now, it's taken her a lot longer of a trip to get there, but on a 5-fight win streak, she's a grappler. She's improved her striking to the point, I don't know if it's good enough to stand with Rose, but she's a gamer. She's very gritty, and she's another one that will come in your face and say, hey, I'm here. What are you going to do? Whereas Rose, my God, she has upset it. The one young JJ. She has upset up Wanze Lee. This is a woman who comes in, and whether it's striking, whether it's kicks, even grappling, she's a gamer, and we know she can perform. The question is, she can win the title. Can she defend the title? You know, when she beat Joanna, she defended it one time against her, but then lost it. Can she go out and say, hey, I'm the true champion, I can hold on to this for a long title reign, or would she once again overlook Esparza? I don't think those a second go around, but it's going to be a very interesting and fun matchup. Who do you got in this one?
I will never go against Thug Rose as long as she has that belt. I'm going Thug Rose all the way.
We are in agreement on that one. I'm going for Rose Namajunas. I think, like you said, coming from the camp she's from, the fact that this is a rematch against a woman that beat her for the initial title, I think she's ready to come out there and show that was a fluke. I'm the true champion, and I'm here to stay. We got the people's main event, though. We got the people's main event in the third bout. You know, sometimes the third fight on the fight card, and a little bit of a bathroom break, a little bit of, hey, go get some more wings, go refill. Not this one. Michael Chandler taking on Tony Ferguson. Ferguson returning to the octagon after a long layoff. Chandler getting back in there. And since he's come over from Bellator, he's shown, I'm a gamer. Win or lose, I'm going to go in there and go for it all. What do you see about this Chandler-Ferguson fight that excites you?
What's exciting to me is both guys are in a point of their careers where they're very similar. I think both guys need a win in their career. You have Michael Chandler, who when he first came into the UFC, I believe it was from Strikeforce, by the way. He came into the UFC. He comes in and knocks out Dan Hooker, Dan Hooker might be one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. But since then, you know, he had a title shot, lost to Oliveira, had a fight with Justin Gaethje, who's now fighting for the title, another loss. And now he's coming in here fighting Tony Ferguson, who that name alone deserves respect and admiration for what he's done in the organization. But then on the other side, you have Tony Ferguson, who they've just given him the gauntlet of fights. They've put him against every killer they have on the roster. So I think that both guys definitely need a win, but both guys can't afford a loss at the same time.
Very much so. They're both riding losing streaks right now. Chandler lost his last 2. Ferguson lost his last 3 against Gaethje, against Charles Oliveira, who are in the main event, and against Dariush. Now, Chandler did come from Bellator. I saw you try to sneak that in there. He came over from Bellator, okay? His last one was against Benson Henderson.
It's got to be right.
I heard you trying to get that in there. This is a terrific matchup, though. El Kukui, the boogeyman, Tony Ferguson. Unfortunately, we never got to see him versus Khabib, but he has been a gamer, like you said. He has gone through the meat grinder of the men's lightweight division, and more often than not, he's come out successful. A little bit of a struggle lately, but even in those losses, he's shown, maybe outside the Oliveira fight, I'm a gamer, and I'm right here, and I'm still going to be a tough outing for anyone, win, lose, or draw. For Chandler, he's another guy. I'm either going to swing for the fences or I'm going to strike out. It's been fun to watch, but you do have to wonder, you're on a 2-fight losing streak. This is a deep division. Yes, you are fun to watch. That type of fighting style can't last forever. So how long can he maintain his position amongst the top? There is obviously the notion of, hey, do any of these guys try to move up, possibly move down? I don't think they're light enough to move down to 145, but maybe move up to 170 and try to look up there. We shall see. Who do you like in this matchup between Chandler and Ferguson?
You know, being a fan of the UFC for a long time, Tony Ferguson's been one of my favorite guys since a child. It's kind of hard to see him go through the career or be at this point in his career that he's at with all the losses. But again, you have to keep in mind those were absolute killers. But honestly, I think I got Michael Chandler in this one. I think maybe Tony Ferguson's kind of getting to that point of his career where it might be he's closer to the end than he is the beginning. And I think Michael Chandler comes out there, and I still think Tony Ferguson though gives a great performance. Though I predict it will be a loss.
I'm gonna have to start hiding my phone and my picks and whatnot, because if I know for the segment of a show we're supposed to disagree, but I agree with you. I like Michael Chandler in this particular one. Tony Ferguson is a banger, but you do have to wonder at some point in time it is just not there anymore. And maybe the division is past him. Maybe he's just gotten to the point where age and all the wars he's been in just caught up to him physically, where, yeah, he can still be competitive, but against the top, it is very hard to say. I like Chandler in this one. Very quickly before we wrap it up here, Mauricio Shogun in a rematch against Ovince St. Preux. These two fought back in 2016. OSP got the win in 35 seconds in Brazil over the former heavyweight champion. How do you like this matchup between Shogun and OSP?
I don't think it goes the same way. When a fight ends in that fashion, you have to run it back to kind of see who, let the two guys go at it. You never know if it's really just a fluke, a lucky hit that got that fight over with. I think this fight this time around is going to be a lot different. I think it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to last a little longer. It's going to be a lot more interesting.
You like?
I'm going with Shogun.
You going with Shogun?
I think Shogun. Yeah, I think Shogun gets redemption.
There we go. And I'm going with OSP. So we got that there. We also got another people's main event here between Donald Cowboy Cerrone taking on Joe Lauzon. Possibly one of the final fights for either one of these fighters. It has been a tremendous career. Cowboy, one of the most decorated fighters in UFC history. Most fights, most wins, finishes, etc., etc. He is on there. How do you like the matchup between Cowboy and Lauzon?
Man, shout out Donald Cerrone, man. The Cowboy legend
Absolutely.
in this game. I'm strictly just going to be, I'm going with my heart, man. I hope to see Cowboy, if this is truly going to be his last fight or one of his last fights, I hope he gets a win. I want to see the man win before he's exiting out of the UFC.
Very much so. I'm curious to see how he walks to the cage. If he's walking to the cage with a smile, enjoying the moment, we know we're about to get Cowboy. But if he's walking there with a scowl on his face, looking serious, we're not going to see the Donald Cerrone that we've been used to seeing. So I like Joe Lauzon in this particular matchup just because I think he has more weapons. But Cowboy Cerrone is fantastic. Griff, UFC 274, it is going to be an absolute banger. Start to finish, it is going to be awesome. You guys make sure that you come back, check out Franchise Sports Media for the recap of UFC 274 and much more of combat sports and every other sport as well here in Las Vegas. Be sure to tune in. This is Griff Kemp. I'm Kalani Lewis. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, fight fans. Peace.